Hi guys, my name's Seb Tudor, I'm the man on the South Mountain and welcome back. Now today I want to talk about Paladins, and it's a game that I've played a lot on the channel, in fact. It's one of the ones that I think I've carried on more so than possibly only Conan Exiles and Subnautica standing out as more videos that I've done. Besides coaching stuff, obviously, because more of that comes out for the most part, to one degree or another. But anyway, ultimately, I'm done with Paladins, and there's a couple of reasons why that is. Firstly, the balance. I've talked about the balance. I've addressed it numerous times. I brought it up in videos on Paladins whilst playing the game, and I've tried to go through the changes they've made and go, why on earth are they doing this? They've removed the feedback, and they're not listening to players anymore. They're not listening to the way that these function anymore. So I don't know what to do about that, because they were originally talking to people and now they're not. And now more recently, we're going to have in the next update, in the next open beta patch, they're bringing in I think they called it Cards Unbound, and my God, it's the most dense thing I've ever seen. After all of the issues that we've seen erupt out of Star Wars Battlefront 2 with their incredibly greedy, loot box focused progression system, where either you play forever to get anywhere, or you spend a huge amount of money. You know, it's that in itself is a kind of revolting system anyway. But now we're seeing Paladins do the same thing. Now, a while ago, I did a Paladins video going, it's not pay to win, when they changed things around so that cards could be purchased with Essence, and Essence came from duplicates from loot boxes. I said that wasn't pay to win for a very specific set of reasons. Firstly, with the way that it functioned, getting the Essence from duplicates and then being able to spend it, you could accrue it at a reasonable rate anyway, you know, just through leveling up or through buying loot boxes or the chests with gold, and that was fine. But also, once you got the card, you could use that card any which way you wanted, at any which level you wanted, yeah, with a maximum level sat in there to do whatever you want with, yeah? So you went into the loadout screen, you put it in, you locked in that card, and then you went, right, well, I want this to be this effective. And so you would just dial it up to that point and go, there you go, that's at maximum efficacy. Awesome, that's what I want from that card. Now, though, they have gone the Star Wars Battlefront 2 route, where you need to get duplicates of the same card to level up that specific card that you have access to. So with that in mind, now after so let's lay all of this down straight. So originally they had the cash store, and then they went, okay, so you can now also buy chests, you can also get chests with gold. That's good. Get stuff through play. Then they add Essence, which you can gain at a reasonable rate and unlock what you want when you want it, and then you can use it to whatever level you wish to use it at. Again, completely reasonable, because it's just another form of progression that you can tag onto stuff so that people can aim for what they want rather than what they get. That's fine. Then we started seeing a shift, and so we've seen a lot more stuff go into the cash store, but then we had the VIP system added, where, as I've demonstrated in a couple of my videos, it seems to be broken on the things that everyone can engage in, and it takes you an awfully long time to generate enough points to buy anything in that store unless you spend money. This is one of the things that has been leveled at Star Wars Battlefront 2, in the way that they went, oh yeah, you'll still be able to get stuff through play. Yeah, thousands of hours of play, maybe, if you want to get everything, when in their case they've already bought the game. Now, in regards to Paladins, I will say it's a free-to-play game. Microtransactions need to be a thing. I completely agree with that. I feel that they, up until a point, did a better job than some places, because they had both skins and things that you would only get from chests, and you would also have skins that you could buy directly. And those are what people want. So there I will go, fair enough, that's fine. Now though, they are putting the progression system of cards that are there specifically to tailor skills for gameplay into those chests, and the only way to get the max versions of those cards is by purchasing loot boxes. Now they've also said, oh well, for the time being we're removing the Radiant chests that you would get those cards from so that we can see how things work and then we will tailor it. Bullshit. The way that you've already laid this down is exactly the same as Star Wars Battlefront 2. It's also just as damaging because it makes the whole thing pay to win. Regardless of what price you put those chests in at, the person who comes in and just splashes a whole load of cash on it is going to get the things so quickly compared to someone else who is going to sit there and have to wait and deal with just whatever it is that they get from whichever chest they've opened. And with Essence no longer being there to purchase what they want, they could get chest after chest after chest after chest of stuff that they just don't use on any character, or that they don't, a character that they don't play. And so as a result, you're going to be left sat there with a lot of players not being able to access these things and not being able to deal with anything. They kind of said, oh yeah, well in competitive this won't matter. Well, then why should it matter anywhere else? Remove all of this, because it's literally a damaging system, and it's one based around greed and stupidity. The same things that we have seen in other games that have suddenly randomly, as loot boxes have been discussed and shrugged off in regards to Star Wars Battlefront as the prime example, they have kind of joined in on the loot boxes thing even more so, with even Guild Wars 2, another thing that I can criticise them about and that I will do at some point in the future, adding in with their new mount skins ridiculous pricing and essentially loot boxes, encouraging people to either waste money on things that they don't want or need, or spend money, a huge amount of money, and get a whole load of stuff that they don't want purely for the chance of getting what they want. It's unreasonable, it's unrealistic, it's incredibly greedy, and quite frankly, the amount of hate that I have seen thrown at both Paladins and at Guild Wars 2 in regards to this, and in regards at so many other places that have all started kind of adding these things in and making a bigger deal of them just because of all this stuff that's been blowing up, and the fact that there's attention on it at the moment. You've got an industry going in one direction, but you've got the majority of players going hell no and going in the other direction. And so, you know, we've seen that Star Wars Battlefront has lost a huge amount of money on this, and that they are going to probably continue to lose money on this because now people are not going to be willing to touch that game. But now we're seeing some games, Dauntless as a big example, Phoenix Labs actually coming out and saying, no, we're not getting behind this, we're removing them from the game. There are going to be some that are kicking around, but they're not going to be ones that you pay for. If you paid for a Founders Pack, I think it is, where you've already got some, we're going to leave that up for the time being because that's just the way that those were formatted. After those, you'll never see them again. The loot boxes in the game are random because they're loot boxes that you only earn through playing the game, but you're not going to have them in the store. The stuff that's going to be in our store is going to be skins and services that are going to be direct purchase, and they're going to be useful to you, and we're going to see how we do that as it progresses as a game. And so, you know, and you've got a whole load of other game developers going, well, microtransactions are fine. And I would agree, microtransactions are fine. Take-Two, one of the ones that has been most verbal and most critical, they seem to have some people that don't understand what they're talking about, primarily some of their CEOs, I think, that commented really seemed out of whack. But then you've had other people from their camp kind of coming in and going, we are, we're putting it out there because the games that we're doing this with and adding these microtransactions to, they're direct purchases, they're not loot boxes, and they're going to be dealing with kind of all of this stuff that we've thrown into the game. As said, as the example is so far, yes, I wouldn't be surprised if Red Dead 2, or Red Dead Redemption 2 rather, has kind of a microtransaction system in its free-to-play online service, the same way that GTA 5 had, where we got a full amazing $60 game with an entire single player experience that was absolutely fantastic, and then tacked on, we had this free to play version that was essentially a free to play, or arguably buy to play, version of the entire game, but with friends. And so that's fantastic, right? And then they kept adding to that with free DLC and stuff anyway, but each thing added more stuff that we'd want. So they added microtransactions to pay to skip, not pay to win. And that's terrific. That's fine. That's the kind of thing that you would want, because then that amount of money is going to continue to progress the development of the next game or of new content for that game, and so on and so forth. Is it a bit sad that as a result of this, we probably don't, it was probably due to this that we didn't get additional story DLC for GTA 5? Yeah, it is. That sucks. I was genuinely hoping to either have a continuation of kind of the character stories, or something very similar to kind of the Ballad of Gay Tony and the Lost and the Damned from GTA 4. I was hoping for that, but it didn't come to pass. And fair enough. That's on Take-Two and Rockstar to work that stuff out. But again, we got a full $60 AAA title, straight up with that, and that was terrific. It was one of the best games of the last generation, and is still played hugely in this one, and so that's great. And then we got this free multiplayer tagged on that kind of just went with it, and you could take advantage of it if you wanted to, and there was more stuff to do, and you could play with friends, and you could do all this other stuff. And if you wanted to buy it, put some money towards it and support the game as a whole, I suppose, then you could. But it still just it wasn't up to chance. You just got the in-game cash and you were able to go and do a thing. Yeah, so guess what? Take-Two, do you know what? As long as that's the way you manage your microtransactions, you're fine. My issue is with shitty practices that bring random chance into direct progression, that bring random chance into what should be direct purchase, or that either try to promote numbers on money or on time purely based on forcing players through this gauntlet of what you're calling a progression system, but is actually just a money milking setup. Yeah, that's what bugs me. That's what drives me up the wall, and that's why I probably won't be making Paladins content again for a while at the very least. Yeah, considering that Hi-Rez has had fairly substantial successes with especially with Smite and stuff like that. Where as far as I'm aware, this kind of thing isn't an issue. They don't have this kind of bullshit going on in Smite, but they've decided to do it here. It's not something that I'm particularly enamored with by any stretch. And especially, whilst there are so many examples of this kind of stuff done bad, there are also some really great examples of this kind of stuff done well and made substantial in various ways. And almost all of it has to do with direct purchase, where the person that's spending the money knows what they're getting on the other end, has a guarantee of what they're getting on the other end, can choose directly, and then just make the purchase instead of gambling. Because that is again what it is. Loot boxes are essentially gambling, regardless of what people say, because there is a consideration of money, consideration by the person buying into the system. There is a random chance, and then there is something of value acquired at the end. That's gambling, right? That's the simple process. You might not even, in gambling, you might not get what you want. You might not get the result you want. You might lose everything. You might get a little bit. But there's that at the end there. So saying, oh well, you didn't, they're not gambling because there's no full real world value at the end, really? Because I would say that there are an awful lot of kind of games out there, TF2, Counter-Strike, that would disagree, and you're not supposed to sell your accounts, but I would imagine that if you sold an Overwatch account with every single skin unlocked, you would get a fair amount of money for that. And so what it comes down to is there is a real world monetary consideration for these things, both being given by the person buying into the system and by the person who is giving the product out at the end, because that's taken them time to make. It's cost them something. But then the thing that bugs me is also where we had that guy that marketing analyst or market analyst from before who was saying that games are horribly underpriced and all the rest of it. Once you've done the work on a game, for the most part, once you've made a skin and it's created in the world and then it's out there for people to buy, that's one time that you've done the work, and then you can make money on that an infinite number of times. An infinite copy is sat there, or an infinite number of copies is sat there waiting for anyone who wants it to get hold of it. So why, if that's the case, and you're going to earn money on it anyway because it's what people want, then why would you put that behind a gambling wall? Why would you put that behind random chance? Because you're going to make money on it anyway. If you show it to people and they want it, and you've done the work and the work's done, and then you can just, any money that you make on that after you've recouped the cost of making that in the first place is profit, just nothing but profit. So why would you stick that behind random chance? Why would you put that behind a gambling wall? Same goes for these cards though, with Paladins, and this is where I started this video, and it's what I want to come back to at the end now, after I've had my little tirade here in the middle. With the way that they're redoing this system, does the sound of more levels of cards, more levels of effectiveness, more energy to spend in your build, in your loadout, does that sound bad to me? No, that sounds perfectly fine. That would be a reasonable change. Does taking the progression system, what little there is of it in this game anyway, but one that has a decent amount of depth in it, does taking all of that and throwing it behind a paywall or a time wall, random number generators and all that kind of thing, does that sound sensible? Does that sound reasonable? No, it doesn't. It sounds greedy. It sounds stupid. It sounds like someone there is being pushed to turn this game into a money-making scheme rather than develop it as a game. And we're not seeing any reason why they should do that, considering that Paladins has been pretty high in the Steam kind of played lists for free-to-play games and things for quite some time now, and it's usually got a fair amount of money being spent on it as well. Either in terms of purchases of crystals or in terms of the now purchases of the VIP, buying into the VIP system or buying VIP points. People were buying those things already. So now, though, you're changing progression into something that money can be funneled through. Like, time to uninstall Paladins, guys, because that's the only way that they will learn. It's one of these things where the money and the numbers that they are seeing are what are going to tell them things. And this system, whether they're pricing it, whether they're lowering the prices of Radiant chests, upping the amount of gold we get per match, or anything else, that's still the number of heroes or number of champions that they've got, the number of cards that each champion has. You've still got so much random chance, and you're going to have to waste so much time on just hoping that you get the right thing. Either that or spend an awful lot of money. It's exactly the same as what Star Wars Battlefront 2 did, and Star Wars Battlefront 2 has been pulled backwards through a hedge and through the muck as a result of this. It's not a good system. It's not nice, to say the least, to take advantage of people that want to support your project and want to support what you're doing, want to enjoy the game and the experience that you've put forward. Like, I would say that at the moment, Paladins, in broad strokes, is one of the best kind of team shooters out there at the moment, because it's both got a level of simplicity, and through the card system, the loadout system, the build system, whatever you want to call it, it's got a level of depth. It has skill-based play, but you're able to tweak the way that it feels. And I've got I've got a video coming out next week that will touch on this as well in various ways. But after I've sunk some hours into Overwatch, because I got it when it was actually worth the money that I'd be paying for it, during the Black Friday offer on it. After sinking some hours into that, like, it's not as good a game. I'm going to say it right now. Overwatch isn't as good, for what I want at any rate, as Paladins was, because it's dull, it's boring, there's no depth to it, everyone is just the same. There's an element of skill and practice, fine, but for instance, where on Charlene or where on Buck or someone like that, I would tweak their reload speed just by a little bit, just so it felt better to play. Yeah, just so it felt just that little bit better for me as I'm sat here, mouse in hand, just so it felt responsive and stuff like that. I'd be able to tweak things in a little way here and there, just to make it feel better to me. I can't do that on Overwatch. I can't deal with that kind of discomfort in playing those characters due to timings, due to unresponsiveness, or anything like that. I'm stuck with the speed at which their skills fire off, with the ways that their weapons handle. There's no depth to that. It's baby's first hero shooter. Press Q to win. It's kind of sad. And I've complained about the overpowered no skill ultimates that were being added into Paladins as well. But again, as much as Paladins in these broad strokes is, in my view, a better game, I'm not going to sit there and waste time and money on it when they're literally looking to nickel and dime their players and force them into this system for the sake of progression. I was already getting pissed off with the poor balance and the greedy system that is the VIP system anyway. Now they're only making it worse. Simply put, if you've got a problem with funding and stuff like that, reach out or make more sales. The way that you're trying to make more sales is driving people away. What do people actually want? They want more skills and they want more stuff in the game. Focus on doing those two things and offering them to people in a reasonable fashion, and guess what? You'll make money. You'll make much more money. Look at how well, on a very straightforward kind of system of, you give us money, we give you currency in the game, you buy basically whatever you want in full, and you know what you're getting straight away. How many games have done that and succeeded? I don't know, small games like Warframe with 27 million registered users or so. Games, as said, like GTA Online with its shark cards, where it's now that game grossed so much money. So many other free-to-play titles that are very upfront, and they don't hide what they're throwing out there in terms of content. They're not hiding it behind RNG walls or hiding it behind kind of Skinner box mechanics based around your own money. They're not doing that. They're just leaving it open and available, and they are raking in money. They are developing their games. Look at what Warframe did recently. It took a huge jump into a new direction, and it was heralded by some as basically the sequel to Warframe. We've had a huge surge in these kind of things, and we can see where people are doing it well and where people are doing it poorly, and hopefully the ones that are doing it poorly either start to learn or die out, because quite frankly they're only going to cause more problems and more damage to the industry that is currently beating out the rest of the world. It's beating out all other forms of media in various ways. So here's hoping that we get that these practices start to die. And one of the ways that they're going to start to die is by us actively going, no, I'm not playing this anymore. I'm not buying into this anymore. I'm done. Yeah, because that's the only way that these people will learn. If they're going to start essentially abusing our trust, where we are there for an experience, they are providing an experience, we want to support them in that providing of an experience, but they need to demonstrate that that's a two-way respect. and they're not doing that. They're no longer listening to us. They're causing breakdowns in the game in the way that they are developing it, and then on top of that, now they are coming straight for your wallet. Anyway, guys, I wanted to put this out because, firstly, there have been a lot of people who have appreciated my Paladins videos, and thank you very much for that, guys. But this has kind of reached the end of the road, as far as I'm concerned, in regards to what I'm willing to tolerate. As said, I'll probably keep an eye on what they're doing. I follow them on YouTube, I follow them on Facebook, and Twitter, so I will probably see what's happening with Paladins as it progresses, and if they learn their lesson, if they decide not to try and abuse our trust and go straight for our wallets and so on for the sake of it, then maybe I'll return and I will reappraise the game and the way that the state of the game as I find it at the time. But until that, I probably won't be doing any more content on it at all. But beyond that, guys, what are your thoughts on this whole thing, especially in regards to Paladins, but also in regards to the issue as a whole? As I've said in videos before, I don't have a problem with microtransactions. When I've had spare cash kicking around and I've seen something that I want in a game and that I think is worth it, then yeah, I've gone straight to it and bought it, because I don't have a worry about where the money's going if I'm getting what I'm asking for. It's like I've got what I want and I'm making the game better. I'm helping fund this game for everybody, including myself. That's great. Yeah, it's why I play a lot of free-to-play games, as you guys have seen. I've shared them with you on here. And there's a reason for that, because I want to support those games that are doing well in that sphere. Why? Because either if I show that I'm playing the game, then people are more willing to invest in that company and allow more for me to play and all that kind of thing. But also, if I'm investing in it in a monetary way, then the game is literally being funded by me. I'm able to support them in their development and hopefully provide some feedback and stuff along the way. That's one of the reasons why I also like early access games. It's where I can come in, take a look at how things are going, and then maybe provide not just some support for a project that I think is going to be really cool, but also provide some feedback, provide some ideas, even if there's a forum for that. So and make content like this for it. Or not like this, but like some of the, Conan Exiles videos that I've done, where I'm actually really enjoying the game, trying stuff out, playing around, messing around, enjoying this toy that I've been given, or that I've procured from Funcom to mess around with, and bring it to you guys as a analogy for coaching and achieving goals, but also as a case of dealing with just fun and finding a way to relax and calm down after everything else has gone to crap, or you've had a hard week or whatever else. That work-life balance is important. But anyway, guys, as said, I'd love to hear your thoughts around this, because this is getting daft to me. It's I've been playing games since the 90s, and it's a case of like maybe I'm just old. I'm sat here going, we used to have like full single player titles that were completely fine, and then they would have the multiplayer tagged in, and then if you wanted an expansion pack for it, and everyone would need the expansion pack and stuff and whatever else, that was fine, but you'd be another like 2/3 the price of the full game if it was a decent amount, and it would be maybe a third of the price of the full game if it was just like a little extra tacked on thing. And then we progressed through that, and it's just gone completely back to front, and the industry seems to have completely lost any perspective on where they came from. So that's troubling to me. It's a bit worrying, because this is a medium that I've loved, that I've spent an awful lot of time and money and energy on in various ways. So so much so I have run organisations around games, be it either kind of gaming clubs, be it in regards to guilds and clans in game, and stuff like that. It's a hobby that I can invest in a lot of different ways either socially or intellectually, physically in some instances, by actually going out and doing things for it. And so this kind of twisting of it, where originally it was this really cool new hobby for people to get engaged with, to make friends over, to experience storytelling in a new way, and now it's been being turned into this nothing but money making tool for people that really, whether they were gamers before, whether or not they've just taken over companies that are doing well in this area, they're not serving their audience anymore. And that bothers me, because there are so many amazing storytellers, so many amazing games that could come out and should come out that have already been scrapped due to monetary reasons. I'm looking at you, Legacy of Kain Dark Sun. So disappointed when I heard you weren't a thing anymore. But it's those kind of things that are going to disappear, and we're going to lose something to it. And it all starts with cancellations of games over monetary concerns, where potentially they would have been very well funded if they had been put across to players and fans and people like that. Or it comes down to poor decisions by already very well established publishers and businesses who are just out to get more money, out to be greedy, out to be selfish, and not to work with things appropriately. In regards to Star Wars Battlefront 2, by the way, I hope Disney does kind of what Games Workshop did, and they go, okay, no, we're taking away the exclusive license from EA. They've screwed this up horribly. What we're going to do is we're going to then allow a kind of limited license to a lot of people, so that they can all each individually come in and try their hand, and if it meets our level of approval, if it's something that we think works for us, they can make the game, publish the game, they take money, we take money through the limited license, everything works. That's what I'm hoping that will happen with the Star Wars stuff, because EA, they've done well with stuff in the past, but more recently they've just been dropping the ball again and again and again and again, and so take it away from them, take away this big thing from them, because they don't deserve it anymore. But anyway, I'm rambling and ranting now, as if I haven't been for this whole video to one extent or another anyway. But yeah, I'd love to hear what your thoughts are, both around the major issue of microtransactions, loot boxes, all this shit in the first place, but then also in regards specifically to Paladins. If you're someone that's come to my channel for the Paladins content, then I apologise, it's probably not going to be around anymore, or at the very least not as much. And I will probably be doing some Overwatch content, but again, there are other games and other things that are either coming out or that I want to get into and stuff like that I kind of want to share with you guys if I can. There are a couple that might have NDAs attached to them. I'm glad Dauntless doesn't seem to. But there are a couple of others that are coming out that I've kind of gained access to that I want to see if there are NDAs attached to it, so I can bring it to you guys. But if not, then they'll be here. They'll be on the channel, and I'll be sharing those with you guys as well, some of which I'm really excited about. But anyway, a little bit of foreshadowing. Thank you very much for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the video tomorrow. Take care. Thank you very much for watching, guys. If you enjoyed this video, then please drop us a like, share this video, and subscribe for more, and I'll see you in the video tomorrow. Take care.